And we have Mississippi's favorite doctor, Dr. Quinn, in the house. He's fixing up the camera. He's trying to look nice because he's growing some hair here, it looks like. But, Dr. Quinn, more importantly, I want to talk about the food industry today. What are the concerns about the marketing that the food industry likes to use and maybe the health, negatives that it can cause?
Well, here's the deal. The food industry has unlimited resources, and they have very sophisticated marketing techniques. They especially aim for children. And what they do is they use a lot of colors, characters, a lot of marketing with jingles that children catch on to very effectively. And when the children are going through the grocery store with their parents, they're just grabbing at those boxes. But the problem is a lot of these boxes contain hyper-processed food, ultra-processed food that has chemicals that are ingredients that are very addictive. They work with the reward centers of the brain, and this is very dangerous for our children that have developing brains, and these children become addicted to these foods, and these foods are very unhealthy in a lot of cases.
Yeah, so I guess my follow-up question is we say the food industry, is it all foods or is it really just the processed foods and maybe the candies or the cheaper end of stuff? I mean, what are we talking about here?
We're talking about what's called ultra-processed foods. And these are foods that have unnatural ingredients that can be very addictive, meaning that they affect our reward systems in our brain. The problem with the children is they're much more vulnerable because their reward systems in the brain are developing and much more subjective to these ultra-processed foods, making them addicted. And it's very dangerous because these ultra-processed foods are causing a lot of people, including our children, to gain a lot of unnecessary weight, which leads to chronic conditions early in life, such as our children right now, which is unbelievable. Some children are getting diabetes, prediabetes, elevated blood pressure, liver disease. All of these chronic conditions as a teenager can result in death as an adult, meaning that somebody in their 30s or 40s can even have a heart attack or a stroke. So it's making our whole society more vulnerable, and this is a very important topic.
How can you decipher what's good and what's bad and what's good marketing, what's honest marketing, what's lying? I mean, how can you decipher this?
Well, what we have to do as parents is watch our children and watch what they're watching on television and try to give them the healthiest food we possibly can. More natural stuff such as vegetables and fruits and not ultra-processed food. If it comes in a box, it's probably ultra-processed and not as healthy as something that you get from the vegetables, maybe some lean chicken. Just cook, let's more, and our children with a healthier menu.
Yeah, and when you're at the store, is there easy signs to tell, okay, this is better for me, or is it just the natural, if it's vegetables, it's better for you than, say, candy? I mean, is there anything that's maybe labeled that you could see?
Most definitely. You can look at the calories on the boxes. And if it's very high calories, that means it's not super duper healthy. And let's just keep this conversation going so we as parents will be more aware and more vigilant about watching what our children eat.
Yeah, and let's step back and go back to the kids side of things. Remind me again what you just said at the beginning, because I thought that was really important. You touched your head and you said a big word there. Explain that kind of in depth.
Ultra-processed foods are foods that have a lot of unnatural ingredients. These are colors and different things that make them taste a certain way, and they could actually affect what's called our reward systems in our brain. Neuropeptides, and these foods causes at a greater amount than, say, some broccoli. And what happens is for our children, their reward systems are still developing. They're more submissive to this, and they become more addicted. They eat these foods and they just feel great. I need more. That's addiction. And that's what's happening to some of our kids. I saw a child in the grocery store just crying like crazy because the mom wouldn't buy the big box of some type of popular cereal. Kid just threw a tantrum. And I was like, oh my goodness. But long story short, that child really wanted that food. And a lot of it had to do with that marketing and those unnatural ingredients.